somehow, some way, a Japanese oil tanker gets attacked, then Iran is immediately blamed by Mike Pompeo. Wow, Mike. Question: are you an X-Men? Do you have Professor Xavier's powers or something? Can you like read minds while simultaneously conducting a forensics investigation from Washington D.C. Apparently with your mind, you know, like, and then you're doing it at record time because literally as soon as the Japanese oil tankers were attacked, you were right there. You had the tweet ready. You had the press conference ready. Listen, y'all. Nobody believes you, Mike. Nobody believes you. Nobody. And you know what? You know what? It's times like this that I wish there was someone who was running for president who had the foresight to see that maybe there was somebody going to try and manufacture consent to go to war with Iran. If there was somebody, Tom, I'm telling you, I just wish that actually.
Of war. Well, one of the actions they took this week was evacuating, as you know, our diplomatic posts in Iraq because they were concerned, based on the intelligence, that Iran may be looking to strike U.S. interests. You don't buy it?
I don't. You know, we heard conflicting stories coming from the British commander, who is the co-commander of the fight against ISIS and Al-Qaeda there in Iraq and Syria, saying, hey, he hadn't seen an escalation of tensions or threats coming from these Iraqi or these Shia militia serving in Iraq. I think what we're seeing, unfortunately, is what looks a lot like people in the Trump administration trying to create a pretext or an excuse for us to go to war against Iran, a war that would actually undermine our national security, cost us countless American lives, cost civilian lives across the region.
And I forgot. There is someone who told us. There's someone who told us exactly what was about to happen. Oh, you think that's not scary enough, huh? You know what's even scarier? That video of the interview that Tulsi did with George Stephanopoulos on ABC and his one-on-one show, it was taken down. It was taken down. The fact that it was taken down is more evidence that you should absolutely be listening to this woman. This is why she says, I don't need the generals. I mean, they can be there for advisory purposes, but that's it. I don't need the generals. I don't need to listen to the secretaries. They can be there but they are not going to be able to coerce me into another regime change war for rich people's oil. She said it. She said they're trying to escalate tension. She said she doesn't buy the stories. She knew this was coming. She got it. But of course, I mean, right? How obvious is it? And it does my heart good to see that the rest of the world was nobody. Like, it was cool to see whenever the chemical weapons attack in Syria happened, a lot of people pushed back. They were like, no, you just launched rockets at a country with, by the way, no reprimand, which is ridiculous. But you launched rockets at a nation without conducting any investigation. In a very similar situation to Iran, where there was no strategic, political, or diplomatic advantage by Assad or his government to attacking at that very moment. It was stupid. Nobody would ever do that. But just like that, here we are again with Iran. As the Japanese prime minister is literally in Iran discussing the nuclear deal on behalf of Japan and the United States, trying to bring Iran back into the table because Trump he fucked it up, basically, by making unilateral decisions to put more illegitimate sanctions on Iran. But we know what that's really about. And for anybody else, that would be a declaration of war. But, I mean, that's actually, ironically enough, part of the reason that the United States ended up joining World War II was because Japan attacked Pearl Harbor after an oil conflict with the United States. So that's usually an act of war. But Mike Pompeo, he thinks we're morons. He thinks that we're idiots. He thinks that basically, what's that movie called? Austin Powers? He thinks that basically the leaders of Iran are like Dr. Evil from Austin Powers, got the pinky finger right here, okay? And he got the little kitten. You know, I love my cats, but I doubt that this is what would happen. But this is what he thinks happened. And we're all watching this movie, and we're going to believe this is how life really works. He says, Mr. Japanese Prime Minister, I will ask you to turn your attention to the screen right here. See, this meeting was all an elaborate ruse to distract you, because while you're here, I'm going to order an attack on your oil tankers. Oh, look, you're getting attacked right now. And if you don't want more of your oil tankers attacked, then you must wire me $10 billion. That's not how it happened. Come on. But that's what Mike Pompeo is basically telling us. This is why generals and secretaries of defenses and national security, y'all should never go to Hollywood because your stories suck. Maybe you should hire people from Hollywood to create more elaborate lies for you, because the movies in Hollywood are more believable than the lies you're trying to sell the American people. You know, another trending topic was trending alongside this one, and it was the Gulf of Tonkin. And the reason why is because it was a very similar ordeal. It was basically the precursor to the Vietnam War. Ship attacked, it was ours, blah, blah, blah. Turned out that we don't even know now if the ship was attacked. Same thing happened with the Lusitania when we went to World War I. Turned out that that was a lie. We found out that the ship was attacked, but it was a weapons ship. And that's why it was attacked. So, ironically enough, or coincidentally, probably coincidental, Lyndon B. Johnson was the president during the Gulf of Tonkin. And Lyndon B. Johnson said something that was pretty insightful. It tells us a lot about why that happened with the Gulf of Tonkin, Bay of Pigs, this escalation with Iran, with the Japanese oil tankers. He gave us some pretty unique insight. He said, it doesn't matter how big your military is. If you can't win the war politically, you cannot win it at all. Lyndon B. Johnson said this in the same time frame as the Gulf of Tonkin and the Vietnam War, and what ultimately ended up happening. The people were not happy about being in Vietnam. The anti-war movement largely started because of Vietnam. They lost it. So, of course, they're going to need to manufacture consent before they go to war with one of the biggest countries in the Middle East. Iran is not a game. Iran's a powerhouse. Even with the sanctions, we would probably lose that war. Mostly because people are not idiots. We don't want to be there. We don't want to go kill those innocent people, those poor people. What, you going to send some poor people to go kill some more poor people? Of course, because the majority of the poor people here, not majority, but proportionately, the majority of the poor people here, black, brown, poor people there, brown. It's the only reason that we're putting sanctions on them. We don't put sanctions on white countries. A little hint for you. And so they're going to send more poor people from America, black and brown, to go kill poor people over there, brown, while white people laugh at us. Yeah, no, not buying it. We're not buying it. Now, what's even more interesting is that the captain of this Japanese oil tanker actually said, I don't know what the hell Pompeo is talking about, but I saw projectiles. Did not see anybody under. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. Projectiles. Missiles. Boom, boom. From the sky, not from below. Sorry, bro. That's what happened. That's what he said. No other story has corroborated what Mike Pompeo has said. But everybody else, including the crew members, agree with the captain of this Japanese oil tanker. And what's even more interesting is, as Iran was hatching this Dr. Evil plan of theirs, they also managed to send rescue boats to save the Japanese, to save the Japanese oil tankers. But I thought that, I'm confused. You want to blow up the Japanese, but you want to save them at the same time. Okay, makes sense. It's the worst plan ever, Dr. Evil Iranian guy. You shouldn't save people you're trying to blow up. Let's be honest. Pompeo's full of it. The world saw it immediately. Tulsi, as a Democratic primary candidate, saw it before everybody else. And her response yesterday was perfect. Trump's short-sighted foreign policy is bringing us to the brink of war with Iran and allowing Iran to accelerate their nuclear program just to please the Saudis and Netanyahu. This is not America first. For those of you who think she doesn't criticize Netanyahu enough, which is kind of crazy because she's the only one who critiques Netanyahu on the regular. It seems like almost once every 3 weeks at this point. Same thing with Saudi Arabia. She calls out Saudi Arabia. She calls out the Israeli government. She calls out Democrats. She calls out Republicans. She calls out Trump. She calls out Pompeo. She calls out Hillary. Bruh, point a finger. You get sick of. Get it, Tulsi. But in all seriousness, this is important to understand. It seems like all the people that once upon a time we considered allies to the United States, we thought that they considered our best interests. We thought that. Seems like she's going after all of them. Why? Because Tulsi Gabbard has realized the same thing that we have all realized. Oh shit, they are not our allies. These are actually almost all of them. With few exceptions, these are all adversaries. That's why they're all attacking her. That's why her video was deleted. The military-industrial complex was likely like, take that down now. But hey, I guess this time, wink, wink, Pompeo got it right. Wink, wink, wink. This time, that's Pompeo winking at the military-industrial complex. We got it this time, guys. We're gonna convince them with this bullshit story. Okay. All I got to say to that is, better luck next time, Pompeo. You tried it. America was smarter this time. Thank God. At the end of the day, it's not happening anymore. We're done allowing you to basically give us this illusion of consent. Manufactured consent. To send more people to die for rich white men's war. For oil we shouldn't even be using anyway. You want to go to war? You go. Bye. Send your kids. But you're not sending us anymore. We're not having it. Thanks for watching that segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Roku TV, and on justinform.com. Also, you can make sure that you're subscribed to the channel by going to the subscribe button, pressing it, and hitting that notification bell to get all of our notifications. And of course, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon by supporting the show by donating as little as $1. You can click on the link in the description below for that. And remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.